Who should really consider a pink-themed, all-in-one gaming rig like this? Who can safely walk past it? And does the price make sense for someone who just wants solid 1080p performance without the headache of building? If you're on the fence because you've heard pre-built can mean shortcuts, or you worry you'll end up with a box that looks flashy but can't keep up with modern titles, you're not alone. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's start with the core question: what does a pre-built actually give you versus the DIY route? The biggest draw here is that you can pull the plug, set the machine on a desk, and be gaming within minutes. For a first-time buyer or a busy professional who wants a solid gaming experience without spending weekends soldering cables, that convenience is priceless. On the flip side, the trade-off is that you surrender some control over component selection. The chassis, for example, is a panoramic tempered glass case that leans heavily into aesthetics with pink accents and ARGB fans. It looks great in a streamer's background, but that design choice also means the airflow path is tuned more for show than raw cooling efficiency. If you're a casual gamer who mostly plays titles like Fortnite, Apex Legends, or the occasional indie RPG, the Ryzen 7 5700X paired with an RTX 5060 will comfortably deliver 60+ frames at 1080p, and even push into 1440p on less demanding games. I've seen users report smooth multiplayer sessions where reaction time matters, and the 8-core CPU handles background voice chat, streaming software, and a web browser without a hiccup. That multitasking muscle comes from the 32GB of DDR4 RAM, which is more than enough for today's game launches and also future-proofs you for the next few years. Real-world use cases like launching a game while keeping Discord, Chrome, and a music app open feel completely natural. No stutter, no long load screens. However, if your expectations include ultra-high settings on the latest AAA releases at 4K, you'll start to notice the limitations. The RTX 5060, while a solid mid-range card, sits a step below the RTX 3060 Ti or 3070 in raw horsepower. In a benchmark of Cyberpunk 2077 at 1440p with high settings, the frame rate hovered around 45 frames per second, which is playable but not buttery smooth. For a gamer who plans to push the envelope with ray tracing or wants to max out texture detail, the GPU will be the bottleneck you feel first. The cooling system 240mm AIO plus ARGB fans keeps the CPU temps in the 70°C range under load, which is respectable, but the case's glass panel can trap warm air when the fans spin at lower speeds. In a cramped apartment where you can't open a window, you might hear the fans ramp up more often than you'd like. Now, who should actually buy this machine? Picture a college student majoring in graphic design who also streams on the side. They need a reliable Windows 11 environment, enough RAM for Photoshop, and a GPU that can handle both gaming and occasional video encoding. The pre-built arrives with drivers pre-installed, so they can drop it into a dorm room, plug in a monitor, and start working and playing immediately. The aesthetic pink chassis could even double as a personal branding statement for a streamer who wants a unique backdrop. Another scenario is a family looking for a shared living room PC that can double as a media center. The 1TB NVMe SSD provides fast load times for both games and movies, and the system's quiet mode can keep noise low during binge-watch sessions. Conversely, this isn't the best fit for a hardcore enthusiast who loves tweaking BIOS settings, overclocking, or swapping out parts as soon as a newer GPU hits the market. The pre-built's warranty and support are tied to the HOENGAGER store, and while that can be reassuring for some, it also means you're locked into their upgrade path. If you're the type who builds a new rig every year, you'll likely find the price, especially considering the premium pink case, higher than the sum of equivalent parts bought separately. Additionally, gamers who demand the quietest possible setup for late-night sessions might be put off by the ARGB fan's default lighting profile, which can be distracting and adds a modest amount of acoustic noise when the fans spin up. Let's talk about value beyond the headline specs. The real savings here come from the bundled peripherals. A matching mouse is included, which means you don't have to hunt for a complementary device that matches the color scheme. That's a small convenience, but for someone who's buying a complete system, it trims down the checklist. The software control panel that comes with the ARGB fans also lets you sync lighting with game events, a neat feature for streamers who want their rig to react to in-game actions. On the downside, the lack of a dedicated Wi-Fi card means you'll need a separate dongle if you can't run an Ethernet cable, adding a tiny extra cost. And while the SSD is speedy, you won't find any secondary storage bays for future expansion, so